And we're back with more Longest Journey, and I'm trying out a new size format, as you can see, because, yeah, I figured you don't really need to see that bottom bar because nothing's happening down there. But in any case, I'm going to be quiet for quite a bit of this because he's going to talk and talk and talk and talk and explain what the hell is going on in this world, and I don't really have much to say about it. I mean, it's one of those things you got to pay attention to, otherwise, you're not going to understand what's going on. So once he takes us into the next room, I'm going to switch off my mic to the, so that if Gabriel comes out and decides he wants to talk, because he's been doing that lately, that he's not going to disturb anyone trying to understand the Longest Journey.
Excuse me, Mr. Tobias?
Yes, child?
Tobias. Just call me Tobias, please. I require no ceremony from a distinguished guest such as yourself. Did you enjoy the sights?
Not really. I just kind of came straight back in.
I'm overwhelmed. Walking around out there, seeing with my own two eyes things that can't possibly exist. I kept thinking, it's all a dream. I'll wake up at any moment now and everything will return to normal. But then I realized, I'm still here. It's real. I can touch it. I can smell it.
I can taste it. It's the real thing.
It doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense here. Magic, alien creatures, parallel worlds. I don't believe in those things. I don't believe in fairy tales.
In your world, in Stark, there is no room for magic. That is, and always has been, the curse of science. The fallibility of logic and order.
Dun, dun,
They
dun,
leave no
dun.
room for the imagination. If it does not fit into the narrow perception of the laws of nature that your world adheres to, it's a fairy tale. But then, magic has its downsides too. It's unpredictable. It invites chaos. It puts the balance in peril in a way that science alone never could.
I keep hearing about the balance and about Stark and Arcadia and...
Could you please explain?
This is probably going to sound strange to you, but I'm clueless. I have no idea what this place is or what I'm doing here or... All I know is that something strange is happening in my world, I guess.
Are you sure about that? It's your
The
world?
dreams felt so real, and then things started happening in real life too. Things that couldn't happen, and
I think I will begin at the very beginning.
Oh, good
I believe
gosh.
that is why you were sent here. To learn, to understand, to see for yourself. Like you said, you cannot believe in this place. Well, you will. After you have learned the truth, you will.
Yes.
Come
And,
with me, and I
enjoy
will
the
tell you
truth.
the
I'll see
story
you
of
guys
Earth as
afterwards.
your books never have. And when your eyes and ears are open to the truth, perhaps your mind will follow. We can only hope. Come. This is the true story of the balance, as observed by the Sentinel, the Order of the Balance, the Fathers. The Sentinel Minstrom committed this story to the pages of the scriptures and to these temple walls thousands of years ago, so that coming generations could learn and understand their past and their future. The wall paintings we are looking at became known as the murals of the balance, and it is through these images that I will recount our common history to you, April Ryan. The story begins and ends here, with this mural. Ages ago, and in ages to come, the Earth was one, and magic and science existed side by side in nature and in all people. There was balance, and there was harmony.
you're saying there was just one world then?
One world, one Earth. Magic and science in balance with each other, within each and every living creature. The power to make the stars dance and to create life itself was within our grasp. But then, humankind began to exploit this divine power of two, and they saw fit to use it for their own selfish purposes. The balance of the cosmos was in peril. Unless something was done, unless man was humbled and learned to fear the power he wrought over cosmos, the twilight of chaos would fall upon Earth. It had happened before, in distant times and on distant worlds, and it would happen again. And every man, woman, and child of every people and every race would be devoured by the coming apocalypse. We were given a visitation then. The Dragkin, having lived among us for untold generations, rose to offer their guidance and assistance in preserving the balance on our world.
The Drag? I think I've heard that name before.
Dragkin, Draken, Dragons, whichever name they go by, they remain the eternal servants and custodians of the balance. There were 4 of them here on Earth, and of the 4, one who would found the Order of the Balance, the Sentinel. The first Minstrum were instructed that magic and science would have to be separated before the balance collapsed and brought untold disaster. Earth would have to be split in 2 equal parts. Arcadia and Stark, magic and science, chaos and order. The first Sentinel were counted 13, 6 scientists, 6 magicians, and one who was between, the Dragkin, our mentor, our custodian, our learned guide. Both magic and science were needed to perform this most difficult of tasks. To split a world in 2, to create 2 worlds from one.
Wasn't the use of that kind of power dangerous to the balance?
Yes, and so for this purpose, they built a tower to channel their powers and focus them on the divide that they would create. The kin had brought a disc with them, a disc forged in the fire of their world. Placed at the base of the tower, and the epicenter of the divide, the disc and the tower would become one, a conduit for the flow of magic and science. At the appointed hour, the 13 came to the tower, and with them a woman, whose destiny was decided by the purpose to which she had been born. She would be the first guardian, the human protector of the balance, who would stay in the tower for 1,000 years to watch over the 2 worlds, and to ensure that the flows of magic and science were always equal. And so the ritual began. One world was to become 2, separated by the balance, and each world visible to the other only by way of dreams. Who was ushered into which world was not an arbitrary choice, nor one taken lightly. For the magical creatures, the choice was simple. They had to go to Arcadia. Their kind would not survive in Stark. But for others, families were torn apart, lovers separated, and friends lost for all eternity. Encircled by the 12 and the One who would be guardian, the disc at the base of the tower began to spin faster and faster as more and more power flowed through it, until it was a blur. Darkness enveloped the tower, but the disc glowed brighter and brighter. Reality turned, and in one moment, a new reality had been created and 2 new worlds born. In the tower there was silence. The original disc had disappeared, and in its place was a smaller counterpart, a similar yet different disc. Around and outside the tower, the world looked different. They were now between Stark and Arcadia, between reality and dream. This was the realm of the balance and of the Guardian, and it would be her home for the next 1,000 years. The one who was kin picked up the disc and said, "This disc is a counterpart to the original disc, which has now become this realm, and the key to which has been split and divided in 4. The key is the disc, and the disk is this realm. This mystified the 12, and the one who was kin continued. Know only this. The Guardian's realm cannot be broken unless the disk is broken. But nor can it be repaired without the disk being repaired. The 4 pieces that is the key will be given to the 6 of you who are to be taken to Arcadia for safekeeping. Yet the key will never be complete, he went on, without the precious stones that adorn each piece. I will keep 1, and my fellow kin the 3 others. Should the day come when this realm must be repaired, or the worlds reunited, and that day will come, you will assemble the disk, and the kin will come together one last time. With that, 6 of the 13 went to Arcadia, and 6 to Stark, and the one who would be Guardian ascended to the throne. Witness the mural, where her dreams and hopes, her very soul, were locked away in the disk. In service of the balance, these traits were nothing but barriers. Through new eyes, the imbalance between the worlds was as clear as the stars themselves to the Guardian, and with one thought, she channeled chaos from Arcadia and logic from Stark into the disk, and redistributed the power wherever it was needed. A new era had begun, the era of the Guardian. After they left the tower, 2 of the Drakkin went to Stark, the other 2 to Arcadia. The 6 who came to each world started what is now known as the Sentinel, the Order of the Balance. But while in Arcadia the Sentinel thrived, in Stark they did not. In Stark, the memories of magic and the balance could not survive in the face of the new reality of natural laws, of logic and of science. And soon, very soon, Arcadia became nothing more than legend, a myth, tales of fairies to recount to impressionable children, and stories to frighten and entertain around a fire. And while dreams still brought sights and sounds of Arcadia to those asleep in Stark, they were discounted as mere dreams and nothing more.
So that's it? We forgot about our past and about Arcadia? And that's the way things are? Then what's wrong with that? And why does magic from Arcadia seem to have begun leaking through to Stark?
That is another long story. But I can tell that you are tired of stories, and so I shall be brief. As I told you, while in Arcadia, the Sentinel grew in numbers and in strength. In Stark, while flourishing for a brief time, they were soon diminished and powerless. Some of the Stark Sentinel did not take kindly to this, and they berated the Arcadian Sentinel for their politics and teachings. The Stark Sentinel wanted people to work towards reunification, while their brothers did not. So the inevitable soon came to pass, and the Stark Sentinel parted ways with their Arcadian brothers, and named themselves the Vanguard. And while at first their philosophy was not so different from ours, over the years it changed radically. The Vanguard wanted the divide torn down, the worlds reunited, and the return to what they called the Glorious Ages, when humankind could control the forces of cosmos. But first they needed their own servant in charge of the balance, their own guardian. Now, every 1,000 years, a new guardian took the place of the old one, because no one can be separated from their souls for any longer than 1,000 years. Every 1,000 years, a new guardian was born. The balance provided the seed from which a new fruit grew. But now, it has been 200 years since the previous guardian, the 12th guardian, was to be replaced. Every new child born to the balance has been taken away by the Vanguard, to be studied, an attempt to control them. In every instance so far they have failed. But the 12th Guardian could wait no longer. Only a short time ago the disk in the tower shattered, and the Guardian left his throne. The balance is now untended, and we have yet to find a new Guardian. unless we